Dolazimo sada do sledećeg dela ovog našeg biznis dana na Sinergiji i sad je trenutak da ja pozovem naše paneliste da nam se pridruže na sceni za završnu sesiju Sinergije 23, panel diskusiju o viđenju veštačke inteligencije iz različitih uglova. I moderator panela neću biti ja, nego će to biti gospodin Onur Koč. On je Regional Technology Officer Southeast Europe u Microsoftu, pa ga molim da nam se ovde pridruži na sceni. Takođe, sa njim će biti Bojan Hadžisejdić, on je direktor u Nephosu, onda Aleksandr Vara, Technical Service Sales Direktor u CRAYONu, Jelena Pejković, direktor prodaje sektora za pouzdana napajanja za mnoge zemlje ovde u regionu, Schneider Electricu, i Nebojša Vasiljević, direktor Fondacije Petlja, kao i Ljubiša Bojić, viši naučni saradnik na Institutu za filozofiju i društvenu teoriju i istraživačko-razvojni institut za veštačku inteligenciju Srbije. Fenomenalno. Mr. Onur, stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Generative AI is changing not only the industries, but the society we are living in. We have all kinds of questions, right, about ethics, about education of our kids, about the talent, the energy. So with this distinguished group of leaders here, we will try to get some answers and discuss some of these topics. I'm just going to dive right into it. So I'll start with something very dear to our hearts, our children, right? So I'll start with Mr. Nebojša Vasiljević, so Director of Petlja. You guys are doing a lot of work with our children and building platform for them to learn and grow, learn technology and so on, and generative AI changing in education as well. So how you think generative AI is changing the education? How, as students, parents, and schools, we should be using generative AI technologies? And also, could you please elaborate a little bit your partnership with Microsoft?
Of course. Ja ću preći na srpski, pošto vidim da je većina govornika ovde pričala srpski. Dakle, naravno, direktan odgovor i uticaj će sigurno biti veliki i za ovakva pitanja uvek možemo da kažemo da imamo optimistički i pesimistički scenario i često smo čuli, imali prilike da slušamo jedne i druge kada je u pitanju uticaj AI-a, u ovom slučaju posebno na obrazovanje, ali ono što je bitno, ja mislim da je izuzetno važno da razmišljamo o tome gde mi možemo da utičemo i gde mi možemo na nivou na kome možemo da utičemo, možda neko na globalnom, možda neko na nacionalnom, možda neko na nivou škole, na nivou odeljenja, na nivou svoje dece, a možemo da utičemo da se stvari kreću bliže onome što bi bio neki optimistički scenario kad je u pitanju uticaj na obrazovanje, a tu pre svega treba imati u vidu kada posle svih ovih prezentacija koje smo danas videli razmišljamo i o onim člancima novinarskim gde se priča o tome da li će biti posla za sve ljude, da glavni u stvari fokus obrazovanja i tog nastavnika učionice treba da bude razmišljanje ova deca što sede ispred mene kada sutra izađu iz školske klupe, da li su sa sobom poneli dovoljno obrazovanja, dovoljno znanja i veština da u toj novoj ekonomiji koja se stvara u eri AI budu na strani onih koji će imati posla, nasuprot toga da budu na strani onih koji neće imati posla i da ne bude fokus samo na tome da li će, na primjer, sa ChatGPT-em neko raditi domaći, pa kako će taj domaći sada, što jeste isto jako važno, kako će sada znam da li uradi sa ChatGPT-em ili nije uradi sa ChatGPT-em, to je izuzetno važna stvar, ali ona stvar koja je još mnogo važnija, da li on od mene poneo dovoljno znanja da bude spreman za taj svet koji danas se stvara. I kada se malo bolje pogleda, zajednički odgovor nekako na oba pitanja jeste veća interakcija, neposredna interakcija nastavnika i učenika i tu je u stvari, naravno, kako ćete znati da neko nije sam uradio i pre GPT-a i sa GPT-em, pa tako što ćete popričati sa njim, i vidjet ćete brzo je li sam radio ili nije sam radio. I generalno, tu kada su nastavnici u pitanju, dolazimo do situacije da je to po svoj prilici profesija gde će trebati više prostora ostaviti ljudima za direktan ljudski kontakt i znači da može više da se posveti učenicima, da može više da se posveti sopstvenom unapređivanju. Nije profesija koju će zameniti AI. Na jednom plastičnom primjeru, jedna od vrlo bitnih stvari jeste, kada je u pitanju AI, da vi imate kritički odnos prema tome. I sad zamislite AI koji vama kaže, znate, vi ne treba da verujete svemu što generiše AI, a verujte mi sad ovome što vam pričam. Dakle, prosto to teže funkcioniše i to na suštinskom nivou. Ovo je sad malo anegdotalno, ali na suštinskom nivou je izuzetno bitno da nove ličnosti oblikuju nastavnici. Ali za druge strane, korišćenjem AI, znači ta deca treba da se nauče da koriste AI, ne treba da uče tako da se kaže ok, mi ćemo sad učiti bez tehnologije i tako dalje, nego da koriste AI, ali da je nastavnik dovoljno sposoban da ih nauči kako da koriste i da ih nauči da se odnose prema tome, da ih nauči da ima kritičan odnos prema tome, da ih nauči koja je sad drugačija pozicija u rešavanju problema kada imate AI u odnosu na poziciju u rešavanju problema kada nemate AI i to je ono što je taj optimistički, naravno pesimistički, da se sklizne u jednu od ove druge dve strane ili da ćemo reći, ajmo samo AI i AI će se sam da sa vama uradi, jel da, što neće, i drugi da potpuno isključimo tehnologiju i mi u našoj Fondaciji Petlja jako se sad trudimo da adresiramo sve te stvari. Naravno, mi smo poznati po tome da smo razvili materijale za učenje informatike u osnovnoj školi, u gimnazijama, u specijalizovanim IT odelenjima, computer science, orijentisane predmete i tako dalje. Imamo puno tih online materijala i cela stvar je da sada treba da vidimo kako, kao što smo pomogli da se desi informatika kao obavezan predmet, znači podržali sa tim našim aktivnostima, naravno u partnerstvu sa Microsoftom, na što će se vratiti i kasnije, mi sada hoćemo da vidimo na koji način najbolje da se koristi veštačka inteligencija i imamo eksperimentisanje već na 3 nivoa. Jedan nivo jeste sam AI asistent, koji je, u stvari, trebali smo da ga zovemo copilot, ali zauzeto je ime. AI asistent koji po sličnom ovom principu radi i pomaže nastavnicima, ali tako što stavlja u kontekst lekciju. Upravo onu lekciju iz naših online materijala i na taj način se alajnuje sa tekućim kurikulumom. Dakle, i imamo naravno već neke prototipove. Druga stvar jeste u samim sadržajima ono što je izložen učenik. Za početak, ja mislim, ova interakcija koja ima iteracije i koja omogućava da dođe do nekih većih halucinacija u toj iteraciji, znači vrlo oprezno. Za početak pokušavamo da idemo sa ovim modelima gde je interakcija, recimo ima greška u kodu, u čemu je greška, dobiješ odgovor, nema sad da raspravljaš, dakle za sada. I ono što je tu najvažnije, ja mislim, jeste u samom korišćenju. Znači, u samom korišćenju, u samom domenu učenja. Znači, kao kad, evo sad kažete, imamo kako da napravite prezentaciju, sad imam kurs kako da napravite prezentaciju, zato što je to sveže, jel da, malo pre?
Thank you.
Da, sigurno se razlikuje od toga kako ćete da učite neko kako da pravi prezentaciju kad ima sve ovo. Ista stvar je i u programiranju, mnogo drugačiji pristup može da se napravi, ali da na kraju opet dođete do veština koju imate, ali da naučite da radite u okruženju sada koje imate sa ovim alatima i da iskoristite te alate da što brže dođete do rezultata. Dakle, to je ono što bih imao da kažem i samo bih se vratio, jel da, pošto...
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I mean, I know I can see the passion, the way you speak. I mean, you're very passionate about the topic. You got a lot of things to say, and I want to be very conscious about the time to the other guests. So, if you don't mind, I'll basically move to the. Thank you so much. Really amazing work, and it's been a great partnership from Microsoft. We're really happy to partner with you all. Ms. Jelena Pejković, so I mean, energy industry is one of the most traditional industries of the world, right? So, but yet generative AI is transforming that industry as well. So can you give us, as Schneider, from the Schneider, what kind of examples you're seeing in the energy industry, like smart grids, sustainable energy, and as the global hyperscalers and even the customers are putting a lot of efforts in installing GPUs, deploying GPUs all over the data centers in their environments. So what is the relationship between all those GPU power and the energy consumption? So what are your thoughts and use cases?
Hvala na pitanju, široka tema. Ja ću gledam i ovaj sat ispred sebe da ispoštujem ostale govornike. Da, dolazim iz Schneider Electrica, mi se bavimo energetikom, globalni specijalista za upravljanje električnom energijom, to je onako tradicionalna grana. Međutim, danas je većina govornika i svih ovih dana pričala o tome kako da efikasnije poslujemo u tom nekom operativnom smislu, kako da nove tehnologije pomognu svakom pojedinačnom korisniku da bude brži i efikasniji. Međutim, ono što mi moramo da uradimo kao predstavnik u energetskom sektoru, to upravo u momentu kada pričamo jako puno o energetskoj efikasnosti i održivosti, jeste upravo gde mi vidimo primjenu kako će veštačka inteligencija da promeni cijele industrije, da se na efikasniji način upravlja resursima i da na taj način ta održiva budućnost o kojoj pričamo postane realnost. U ovom smislu raznoraznih botova, chat botova, i Schneider je relativno skoro izbacio interni alat koji će biti kao biznis asistent za sve zaposlene. To je, da kažem, u smislu same produktivnosti svakog pojedinca u firmi. Kada pričamo o veštačkoj inteligenciji, to je naravno talas i trend i mi kao globalni specijalista naravno da smo, što bi se rekao, uzjahali taj talas i da se funkcionalnosti veštačke inteligencije uveliko, da kažem, su sastavni deo naših naprednih softverskih rješenja koja pomažu pa sad u različitim industrijama za upravljanje, za efikasnije upravljanje energetikom. Ono što bi ja volila da navedem kao primer i negdje gde ja vidim najveću primjenu tih veštačke inteligencije jeste ta energetska efikasnost i zgradarstvo. 40% ukupne emisije CO2 i potrošnje električne energije ide iz zgrada i postoji jedan primjer, ja pokušavam da pričam što brže mogu, postoji jedan dobar, realan primjer koji je urađen u Švedskoj. Znači, firma koja ima u svom vlasništvu, da kažem, vodi operacije 600 školskih i predškolskih ustanova. U pitanju su, znači, objekti koje treba upravljati, koje već imaju BMS i zadatak je bio da koristeći veštačku inteligenciju bez ikakvog dodatnog ulaganja, znači bez retrofita i kupovine dodatne opreme, samo inteligentnijim upravljanjem oni smanje troškove toplotne energije, električne energije i naravno emisije CO2. I ceo taj proces, da kažem, obučavanje modela i tako dalje, prikupljanje ogromnog broja podataka, korišćenje podataka sa senzora, i sve je to dalo rezultat da je napravljena ušteda od 4% za cenu toplotne energije, 15% u električnoj energiji i 200 tona CO2 emisije i pay-off u samo 2 godine. Znači, pričamo o tome samo inteligentnim upravljanjem, znači bez ikakvog retrofita, bez ikakvog dodavanja novih uređaja u sistem. Naravno, potrebno je da sistem koji svakako upravlja tim školama bude otvoren. Te škole su svih tih 624 objekta školskih i predškolskih ustanova su već imale Schneiderov skadu za building management sistem koja je otvorena platforma i to je negde onako primjer i negde gde ja vidim doprinos Schneidera, veštačke inteligencije i naprednih sistema za upravljanje, kako da kažem, svet bude održivije mesto i gde je naša uloga u tome. Naravno, ja ću kratko da se osvrnem, znači, pričali smo puno danas o veštačkoj inteligenciji, raznorazni, znači, cijela ta veštačka inteligencija donela je, mi sad ne vidimo šta će sve ona doneti u smislu dostupnosti novih alata i svega, ali ono što donosi već danas je ogroman šifr u tehnologiji. Grafičke procesorske jedinice, AI akceleratori, kako ih zovu, traže ogromnu količinu snage, mnogo veća gustina po reku, znači mi imamo u standardnim data centrima, colocation providerima, to je 6 kW po reku, sad pričamo o 30, 70, 100 kW po reku, sve to treba napojiti, sve to treba ohladiti, sve to treba smestiti u rekove, mnogo veće težine, sve to treba napredni soft management sistemi za upravljanje tim data centrima. To je jednostavno nešto na što svi data centar operatori moraju već danas da obrate pažnju. Većinu tih rešenja mi imamo već danas, na većini tih rešenja se radi, jer, da kažem, kontinualno se inovira i eto, to je negde, da kažem, naše mesto u celom tom lancu, kako koristimo veštačku inteligenciju i jer smo mi i iza. I sve ono što kaže kad izvučeš iz struje, ni ta veštačka inteligencija ne radi, znači i njoj treba imati na umu da se grade data centri koji su optimizovani da prihvate ceo taj novi i netipičan AI load. Dao bi sad.
Bravo, bravo. Great. Great, thank you so much. I hope I'm doing it justice when I pronounce the names. I'm not making many mistakes, so I'm going to move to Mr. Ljubiša Bojić, from University of Belgrade, researcher and amongst other titles. I mean, ethical concerns. I mean, people are thinking about how can we put the conscience of a human into the machines. What are some of the ethical concerns? How can we address those concerns? And what are some of the responsible AI practices from your perspective that you recommend not only the software companies, but also the customers and our partners to use?
Yes, thank you very much. Well, it is a big question. I participate lots around the world in different forums related to discussing these ethical issues. And I don't see concrete solutions. We dwell around these concepts which are very vague instead of proposing some very concrete steps for the future. Also, what I usually see there when I participate is that people don't understand these new models of AI, generative AI. And I think users of this AI should be asked from different segments of society to contribute with their ideas related to ethics and regulation. People that really understand how these systems work. So I even had opportunity to listen to Turing Award winners talking about these issues, but this is not the point. AI people should take part, but the main stage should be given to people from other spheres of life, philosophers, social scientists, and not only them, but people that are users of AI. So these forums usually gather those high-level people that speak about issues, and people from only one profession. So this is the first step to make this discussion realistic. Also, the second thing, and the issue I see as a big challenge, is that we haven't solved this AI 1.0. We haven't solved the issue of data, because we always accept this idea, or when we were asked whether we give data. We don't know where data go. So it's very hard to establish transparency with AI. maybe 100 these data centers or some companies that track us through cookies. So this is the first issue that hasn't been solved, really. The second issue is recommender systems. This is the big one, because except biases that we see all around in AI, and we mainly focus on biases when we examine this in scientific perspective. Will someone be hurt or not when interacting with AI? But a real issue, and the most important one, in my perspective, when I tackle these AI alignment problems, and we try to give some ideas how this should be solved, it is about recommender systems. So this is the first version of when AI is curator, when it decides what we should see at any given point, which posts should be make first, second, third on social media when we use these phones. So this is very important because we are like in a Plato's cave, and we are surrounded by the images and that is the decision of AI algorithm. So at this point, this decision is really guided by some tasks given by AI companies. They just say, I want to maximize participation, I want to maximize use of our platforms, but don't make it sick to people. Okay, I want them to return every day, I want this to be sustainable. So this is the idea, the main task given to these algorithms that are deciding our experience online. But really, what's problematic here that AI is slowly becoming autonomous. So we have a shift from tech companies really deciding our experience when we use these apps to AI algorithms. Even now, in definition, but by OCED, this international organization, there was a big discussion whether we should kick humans from the definition of AI in order to make this definition future-proof, because in the future, there will be many autonomous AI systems. So this is the big problem. And now we go to generative AI. Generative AI and the question of recommender system is similar, because we get some answers, values, sentiment. That is what we get at the end of the day. And this makes impression on us, for example, how we're going to vote, which decisions we're going to make, etc., etc. So the issue of AI alignment, in my view, is related to the well-being of user. So we look at that issue from the perspective of one account. So which emotions I get? Do I get only negative emotions? Because I started a conversation with ChatGPT and I was negative and I want ChatGPT to be negative, and maybe overwhelming volume of negative emotions directed towards myself will have negative impact to my life. Mm-hmm. So this is the issue of AI alignment. And the solution is in the new algorithm, in the algorithm that will be between the user, between society, and between LLM, for example, ChatGPT in this case. And this should be a control algorithm. Guys from OpenAI, people from OpenAI, they are devising solution for this AI alignment issue. And this is also a question in Europe related to regulation, etc., etc. But this algorithm, in my view, a control algorithm, should decide whether you get different content, and not only content you're interested in, but some percentage of the content that can impact your creativity in positive way. Not to get only the same idea, but to get a variety of ideas that should impact your life. So it's about well-being, your psychological well-being, not being isolated in an echo chamber, and it's about also emotions, whether you get negative, positive, etc., etc. So this is the solution we're trying to develop at the Institute for Artificial Intelligence of Serbia. We're working on papers that will really solve this on the level of human well-being and psychology.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. We'll add a few more minutes so that the remaining our leaders can have a few more times. So, some say AI and cybersecurity is match in heaven. Some say match in hell. So I guess if you think about it from a hacker perspective, it creates a very interesting new paradigm. Same thing for the people who are defending, same thing for us, for the companies who are building solutions. So just Mr. Aleksandr Vara, just tell us what kind of opportunities and threats generative AI is creating in the cyberspace.
Yeah, that's a very, very interesting question. I think that both, let's say, the adversaries as well as the defenders, they benefit from LLMs the same way. It brings speed and accuracy as well as scale. So I would say that those are the three concepts or the three benefits for both parties that is evident already. And who knows what will it be in the future. I will start with the negative and then end up on the positive side. I see that we don't have much time, so I'll be as fast as possible. But let's say on the adversary stage, we already see that attackers are creating phishing emails, which is maybe the #1 attack vector today, with a deadly accuracy. Statistics say that just in this quarter, Q3, or last quarter, the number of ransomware email, or let's say phishing attempts leading to ransomware, doubled. And at the same time, we see that the same type of, let's say, the same type of attack is used on a much bigger scale in terms of spreading disinformation at the same time. The other, let's say, very big use case that I think we will see, let's say, blowing up in our faces one way or the other is an explosion of zero-day vulnerabilities. It's very easy to ask a model to find all vulnerabilities from a specific protocol over the last 10, 15 years, if the data exists, and make it predict where could the next issues be. And that is something that I'm sure the adversaries are using, but if defenders are smart, they're using that exact, let's say, methodology as well to predict where they would potentially have, let's say, flaw in their code. And once we hit that situation where we will have an explosion of vulnerabilities out in the wild, a category which is challenging already, which is vulnerability management, I think that unless you are using AI to defend, it will be very hard for you to keep pace. Because if you think about, say, vulnerability management, if you have a vulnerability, that's one thing. The other thing is to have an exploit to utilize that vulnerability. And LLMs are very good at writing code. That is one big, let's say, the second biggest aspect of utilizing vulnerabilities to write an exploit. And that is today basically automated, if you want it to be automated. And even if you think about an example such as Black Mamba, which is a proof of concept of LLM, it's an exploit kit that runs on an endpoint machine, and it alters itself while in runtime, which means that it's undetectable by any technology, any detection technology. It's just virtually impossible. So now you have a situation where the number of vulnerabilities will increase, the attack vector, the threat vector increases or expands, and at the same time, the utilization of that vector is becoming much simpler, and it becomes very, very complex to defend against. So this is the attacker field in terms of what exists today, not even talking about what is there potentially to come. On the defense side, at the same time, we have, again, as mentioned, the same benefits. And one of them, which we already heard today, is that the job of a security analyst becomes easier. So you can talk to a machine can let's say, handle multiple defense technologies, write scripts for you and stuff like that, which makes the problem of not having enough people, resources to defend, it really alleviates it big time. If you have new hire to get them onboarded to your technology stack, to gain knowledge, that time is significantly less if you have, let's say, for example, security co-pilot, right? So that is something that I would definitely use it for nowadays. Also, the entire response time, so there's in defense, there's time to respond and time to mitigate, 2 KPIs. In the response time, again, doing forensics, figuring out what is the possible way to respond, to contain, that is being much faster, again, with AI, because you don't have to have that detailed skill set of using a technology, and you are being provided with much more data to decide what the next step should be. Another, let's say, on the defense side, another big, let's say, bet that companies are looking at is the possibility to alleviate vulnerability management in terms of if I have a vulnerability in my code, or if I potentially have a vulnerability in my code, where is it and how to fix it, and perhaps even allow a machine to fix it and then verify that it's fixed. So that is something that we don't see too many use cases of at the moment. We see proof of concepts mostly, but that is something that I think the future will hold for us, hopefully. And last but not least, of course, with this vulnerability management and the fixing vulnerabilities almost on the fly, of course, you start this discussion of self-healing systems, where as there was a discussion that instead of just controlling the algorithm would be actually working for you without you even asking it. Basically, self-healing systems is something that has been discussed for decades, but I think now we actually have a chance of achieving that, at least in more simpler web-based applications, for instance, not in embedded systems. I don't think that will not happen in at least in the 5-6 years. But it again brings hope for tackling 2 major issues. One is the vulnerability management problem that we have today. Not enough resources, not enough time to fix, but because you also need to push for new features, but also the security operations side, because there is shortage of people. There are burnouts on analysts, but this might just be one of these, let's say, technologies that live up to their promise.
Mr. Bojan Hadžisejdić, so you're the last one. So, I mean, we are all thinking about the future of jobs, the talents. So I'm not going to go into I'm not going to ask a question about what are the new jobs and so on. I'm going to ask maybe a little more practical. So we are all hiring people. We are all developing people, and you're one of the Microsoft partners hiring, developing people for the future, and not only the midterm and long term, but the near future as well. So what are the skills we need to look for in a world we have generative AI, the technology, and immersing our lives when hiring and developing people?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. Just before we start, a short tip on pronouncing my last name. Yeah. If you try pronouncing it, how do you say this? It sounds almost as it should be pronounced.
How do you say this?
Yeah, just as a start. So thank you for the question. So I really like the title of the session, you know, looking at the AI from different angles. And basically with me being the last one and Mr. Vasiljević being the first one, we are kind of closing the loop, going back into the skills development, educational part. I personally do not believe that, you know, AI will destroy jobs. We have been witnessing it with the human history for last, you know, all 4 or 5 or any number of industry revolutions so far, that we have actually evolved or changed the way we are doing the jobs. So I truly believe that AI will bring another, you know, wave of change instead of, you know, destroying some part of the industry. Having said that, definitely we have to look for different skill sets, different ways how to approach this artificial intelligence, and who knows what will be the next wave there. So again, looking at this a smaller portion, again we can look at it from different angles. I personally, even in my private life, as a parent of 2 kids who are in secondary and primary school, I'm primarily afraid of kids losing critical thinking, and this is by far the most dangerous thing, but really privately, because I don't see kids judging anything which they are getting, not even from the AI, but even from teachers. So they are not the ones asking the back questions to the teacher to get more of the explanation. So there are a number of different examples. We can talk it over lunch. I experienced privately during the Corona time with the online activities. So having said that, I really think that starting in the very elementary school, we have to work with the kids being able to competitively use the technology. The technology will definitely be used as a co-pilot in any shape or form throughout the life, starting in elementary school and, all the way until you retire. But, helping kids understand how to ask questions and, being able to properly judge the responses it is getting from whoever the source is. I found a very interesting fact saying 2-3 days ago, saying that like ChatGPT is not a source of truth, it's a source of input. So basically, if you consider it as a source of input, not necessarily source of truth, then you can start doing it in different ways. Then as we progress, going to the and come to the job, like to the employer, being employees of different companies. Then the first question we have to ask to ourselves is, from the employer's perspective, what technology can bring to us? Like, what are the processes which we are going to advance with use of any technology, AI included? So once we know the answers to that question, so how to properly implement certain technology within our particular business processes, then we are able to start exploiting the, let's say, co-pilot or any other kind of generative AI or any other shape and form of the AI. What are the skills required? I would, without going to some deeper philosophy approach to what exact skills are required, I think we should go back to the very basic one. So the first one is, as I said, critical thinking and being able to judge it properly. And second thing, being open to learn as you grow, learning, like really a lifelong learning to be able to exploit the possibilities of the technology. That's one angle on this skilling or employing proper resources. However, we have also the other angle, and we see it already nowadays. It was said earlier that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 46% of the code already in Microsoft is written by GitHub Copilot. That particular thing, although speeding up the development of any product, which is obviously good, has one, I would say, a huge challenge, and that is, usually you start as a junior developer, and you start working on some code, like reviewing it or giving a comment to code. Nowadays, you can give that job to the GitHub Copilot. It does the work for you. The huge question to the society is how we are going to, develop junior developers from junior level of skills to the senior level of skills. This is, if you are looking from the challenges perspective, I think is the crucial thing, how we are going to enable all the society around us to find new applications or new whatever that might be to help kids or junior developers grow, if you are discussing the program development, or if, for example, if you are going to use it like a co-pilot surgery in a surgery, we still have to have like first 3-4 surgeries done with some real human assistance. So this bridging the gap we see between the new entrants to the labor market to being senior on the labor market is the thing that we all have to consider to be able to do so. Just like one more sentence, you said we are one of Microsoft partners, and what we do, we basically do 2 out of those, or 3 out of those things which I was mentioning. First one, we are really trying to demystify technologies, for example, AI, to the business leaders, for them to be able to recognize certain scenarios, how to implement technology within their business processes. That's one thing. We also help other partners and customers design solutions and architectures AI included, and we do the upskilling part, how to properly use nowadays open AI stack or some other Azure services. I hope in like 2-3 months from now, start using Microsoft 365 Copilot as a part of the educational activities. So.
Great, thank you. So I think this was the last session. I want to thank all the panelists for their valuable views and information. I hope we saved the best for the last. Have a great rest of the day.
I evo, dok naši panelisti lagano napuštaju ovu našu scenu, možda i da napravimo jedan selfie za kraj ovde, molim vas, svi zajedno. Evo, možemo i ovako, jedan really great picture.